Welcome to the 20th chapter of the book of 2 Kings. I got it right today. Hezekiah's infirmity. The Assyrian army has been destroyed by the angel of God. People are free now to leave Jerusalem. Everything is looking better. But with Hezekiah, it says, in those days, Hezekiah was infirm unto death. Now, it sounds like he has some kind of a boil or an infection, because later we'll see where God has him put fig poultice on the sore. You would think if somebody was infirm unto death, it would be some kind of a sickness, but it wasn't a sickness. He had some type of an infection. A lot of the things about Hezekiah and Assyria in the 19th chapter can be found on Sennacherib's prism. There was actually three of them in existence. I think one is in British Museum, one is in the Chicago Museum, another is in Jerusalem. But you can go on the Wikipedia and it'll find Sennacherib's prism, and it has a recount of what Sennacherib conquered, but he doesn't say that he conquered Jerusalem, but he does talk about Hezekiah being under his tribute. Also, in the days of Hezekiah, while he was infirm, we are going to see where he goes and talks to Isaiah. But there's also, during this time, is the person of Micah, prophet Micah. It says in the book of Jeremiah, we're told about this, there is not due to this man, that is Jeremiah, a judgment of death, for upon the name of the Lord our God he spoke to us. And there rose up men of the elders of the land and spoke to all the gathering of people, saying, well, Micah the Morashite, was a prophet in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah. And Micah spoke to all the people of Judah, saying, thus said the Lord of the forces, Zion shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem will be for a vacant storehouse of fruits. Well, this didn't happen during Hezekiah's time, but it is a prophecy of Micah. And the mountain of the house shall be turned into a sacred grove. Did by doing away Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah do away with him? Was it not they feared the Lord and they beseeched in front of the Lord? And the Lord ceased in front of, I forgot to put my microphone here, ceased from the evils which he spoke against them. And we did great eagles against our souls. So this is Micah, who is during this time of Hezekiah. And what happens then, Isaiah, son of Amoz, the prophet, entered to Hezekiah, and said to him, thus says Kyrios, give charge concerning your house, for you shall die and shall not live. Ooh, pretty terrible things to say to a man. He's going to die. And God said this. And Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord, saying, O Lord, remember indeed as much as I walk before you in truth and in a perfect heart, and I did good in your eyes. And Hezekiah wept in a great weeping. So Hezekiah hears he's going to die, but I'm not exactly sure why he was afraid of the death, but he cried and he prayed to God. And the prayer to God is basically, in the Lord's Prayer, is pretty much a supplication for something or an acknowledgement of who God is. And there's also a part of thanksgiving in our prayers to God. And Jesus thanked the Father that he did this and he did that. But in the Lord's Prayer, our Father, who he's acknowledging, who is in heaven, acknowledgement. Holy is your name, an acknowledgement. Your kingdom come, that's a supplication. Your kingdom come, your will be done, supplication, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us to this day our daily bread, a supplication, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into the test, another supplication, but deliver us from evil, or the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and acknowledgement and the power and the glory forever and ever. Now, I don't think the forever and ever was part of it, but so he prays to God, which we are to do. Now, I pray to God that he would keep me around until I finish all the video seminars. Got a lot to go still, a couple of years probably. And then the word study seminars on YouTube and Vimeo like I'm doing here. I'd like to finish all of that. So I ask the Lord to keep me around until accomplish that. I would really like to do that, but it's up to the Lord, of course. Thus says Kyrios, the God of David, your forefather. So God is telling him who he is, an account of your forefather David. I heard your prayer. Prosevkes is a prayer, and like I mentioned, those parts of a prayer is more than just one. And I beheld your tears. Behold, I shall heal you on the third day. Triti, emera, tri and ephemeral, both derivatives from those words. And you shall ascend into the house of the Lord, the temple area, and I will add to your days 15 years. And from out of the hand of the king of the Assyrians, I will deliver you, or rescue you, and this city. And I will shield over this city because of myself and because of David, my bondman. Again, he relates to David, the bondman. And Isaiah said, well, let them take now I'm not sure if this comes from God or Isaiah, let them take a dried cluster of figs, and that's a poultice, where they grind the figs up and place them upon the sore, and he shall be healed. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, well, what is the sign that the Lord shall heal me, and I shall ascend into the house of the Lord on the third day? And Isaiah said, this to you is the sign by the Lord, that the Lord shall do the word which he spoke. This is what's going to happen. Shall the shadow go down 10 stairs, or shall it return 10 anavathmus? It could be stairs or an incline or some type of a way with this, when the sun hits it, it can tell that the sun has moved in by the shadow. And Hezekiah said, well, it is a light thing for the shadow to lean 10 stairs because it's always going down. That's the way the sun towards the earth. But not thus, but let the shadow return 10 stairs to the rear. So if our shadow, and those people paid attention to the shadow because of the time of the day. But if it went backwards 10 hours, or whatever, 10, it doesn't say, but 10 of something, 10 minutes, that's something. And Isaiah the prophetess yelled to the Lord, and he returned the shadow of the stairs of Ahaz. These were some type of a incline that Ahaz had built, in which it went down the 10 stairs to the rear. So the people there knew what it was. And so God hears and sees the things that are going on with Hezekiah and listens to him and does these benefit to Hezekiah by allowing him to live longer. It shows him a miracle. And in that time, uh, Varodach Valadhan, son of Valadhan, king of Babylonos, sent letters and gifts to Hezekiah, for he heard that Hezekiah was infirm. Now, Babylon was not a power. It was ruled by the Assyrians up here in Nineveh on the Tigris. But Babylon was right here, down further south. The Chaldeans were down in here. And so they sent somebody across. It's called the Fertile Crescent. It goes around, and then it comes through the entrance of Hamath up here and down into Jerusalem. So that's where these messengers from Babylon, they heard that he was infirm. And Hezekiah rejoiced over them, and he showed to them all the house of the spices, the silver and the gold, the aromatics, aromata is a transliteration, aromatics, and the good olive oil, and the house of his weapons, and all as much as was found in his thesauros, treasuries. We have a thesaurus, treasury of words, comes from that word. There was not a topos, topography, maps, topography. There was not a place which Hezekiah did not show to them in his house and in all under his authority, sort of bragging and showing them everything he has. Well, it's probably common for us to do that. We have somebody coming and visiting, things that we'd like to show people. My house here, when they walk in, there's a glass booth, and it has 16 lenses, Konica hexagon lenses, which I use for my camera here, and sort of got into collecting these old 1965 and 70 lenses. They were really inexpensive, but they now work on the modern camera. They have adapters, and they're fantastic, and nobody makes them like this anymore. They're made in Japan, just beautiful glass inside and everything. And people come in, and I have it there. I don't have to put it in a glass booth for me to see them. Put them in a box. But I did, and I like people to come in and see them. So in a way, you're kind of bragging about what you have, or you're showing it off. So Hezekiah's doing, these people, who are they? Well, they like what I do, and so I'm just, going to show them everything, show them around. And the prophet Isaiah entered to Hezekiah, the king, and he said to him, "What did these men say? And from what place came they to you?" And Hezekiah said, "Well, from out of a land at a distance. They came to me from out of Babylon, way further south than the Assyrians." And he, Isaiah, said, "What did they behold in your house?" And Hezekiah said, "All, as much as is in my house, they beheld. There's not anything in my house which I did not show to them, and in my treasuries." And Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, days come, says the Lord, and there shall be taken away all the things in your house, and as much as your fathers treasured up until this day into Babylon. There shall not be left behind a thing, said the Lord. You take it all." Now, I don't believe he's doing this because of Hezekiah showing him all these things. He's doing it because he's showing it to him because of the disbelief and the disobedience of the Jews in Jerusalem and so forth, that it's going to continue and they're going to take it all. And he's telling this to Hezekiah. "And from your sons," and then it gets worse, "from out of you, whom you procreated, they shall take them, and they will be eunuchi in the house of the king of Babylon." Eunuchs. That's a transliteration, eunuchi to eunuchs, and castrated males. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, "Well, the word of the Lord is good, which he spoke. Let there be peace and righteousness in my days." Well, a sort of a common thing. I look at all the bad things going on today, and I really think, this country could fall apart, like I was mentioning in the last chapter, and bad things can happen. But I'm 80 years old, and how much longer am I going to live? I probably won't see all these things. Well, watch me live another 20 years and see them all. But this is sort of the mindset, as long as it doesn't happen to me, I don't want to see all these bad things happen. So let it not happen. Let peace and righteousness. Let me have a nice life, Lord, the rest of my life, doing these Bible translations and the video seminars and all the bad things. Let it happen later. I don't care, but that's sort of what Hezekiah was thinking. And the rest of the words of Hezekiah, in all as much as he did, in all his dynasty comes from there. You can add that to your English derivatives book. And the fountain and the aqueduct, and how he brought the water into the city. Behold, are not these written upon the scroll of the words of the days of the kings of Judah? And Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and he was entombed in the city of David. And Manasseh, his son, reigned instead of him, who was a wicked son, going back to wickedness like his father Ahaz. We'll find out about this wickedness in the next video seminar in chapter 21. Hope you'll join us. Until then, God bless.